everything that we eat is poison. There's nothing safe. Probably the safest thing is McDonald's, at the end of the day. I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
Best supplements to reduce insulin resistance?
I've said this before, and I'll give you two answers. The answer for the bodybuilder is most bodybuilders are not insulin resistant. Okay, and why is that? And I've said this before, but it's worth repeating because I think it's important. Insulin resistance is usually seen in fat people. Okay, it's usually seen in people who don't exercise and people who don't eat well. Bodybuilders don't check any of those boxes. We exercise, we eat really clean, we eat good foods, we take nutritional supplements. Fish oil is the best insulin sensitizer you can get is fish oil. So like if you already take like my Omega-Lyze essential fatty acid supplement, you're not going to get any more insulin sensitivity with that. So most bodybuilders are very, very insulin sensitive, meaning that they're not insulin resistant. The reason they run high blood sugars is because they eat too much food, and too much compared to the average person we're talking about, okay? And I'm not saying that too much, it might be the right amount for their bodies, but what normal person eats 6 or 8 times a day? They just don't do it. So the insulin requirements our bodies have are much higher. So we're putting a bigger demand on our body for the insulin. Add growth hormone on top of that, which acts antagonistically to insulin. So it means your body has to produce even more insulin now. We have an insulin production problem. And you don't see it in the young guys as much, or young girls as much as you see it in older people. As you get over like age 35, I always say after 35, it's all downhill. After 35, that's when you start seeing the higher blood sugars in a lot of people, because that's when insulin production is kind of starts declining a little bit in your body. Most older people have insulin, production problems, but they don't treat it. They give you like oral medications, which is stupid, because if you don't produce enough insulin and you're just giving someone a drug that's going to force their body to try to produce more, or you're not really solving the problem. If anything, you're exacerbating the problem, because you're burning out the pancreas even more. So we want to alleviate that problem. Now, there are people out there who are, like I said, are overweight. They weigh too much. They have a lot of body fat in their body and low muscle mass. And that's the perfect, and then they have a genetic component on top of that. So that's the perfect scenario to be insulin resistant, meaning that you don't respond to your own insulin very well. And in those people, weight loss, the addition of a good essential fatty acid supplement really helps a lot. Very few people nowadays, if you take a multivitamin, are chromium deficient. Chromium used to be a big reason. Chromium deficiency back in the 80s would lead to insulin resistance, because if you don't have chromium present, insulin doesn't work. It's like a cofactor. So if you didn't have enough chromium and the insulin's not working, your body's going to think it's not producing enough insulin, so it produces excess insulin, and that can cause you to gain weight and get fat. So that's not really an issue, because they put chromium in everything now. Like I said, if you're taking a good quality multivitamin, you'll see chromium picolinate or polynicotinate, one of the chelated chromiums in there. So that's not really an issue. But like if your mother, goes to the doctor and they say, oh, she's insulin, she's got high blood sugar. She might be insulin resistant, but you put them on a good diet, high protein, lower carbs, get those carbs low, get rid of the sugars, add in the essential fatty acids, and that usually cures their problem, because they're not overeaters. They just don't respond to their own insulin well. And because of that, their bodies are over-releasing insulin, and then they're getting fat from it. So two different problems. Bodybuilders do not have an insulin resistance problem. And I know we think we all do. And it's funny because I see so many people come to me and ask me questions, because I get emails all day long from people saying, all right, Dave, I listened to you. I went and got a blood sugar monitor at Walmart for $10, and I've been testing my blood sugars. My fasting sugars are high in the morning. So I started taking cinnamon and berberine and this thing, and then I'm on metformin, and it's not fixing it. Of course, it's not fixing it, because your problem is you don't produce enough insulin. It's not an insulin sensitivity problem. And even if you can get it down a little bit using those other techniques, you're not solving the problem. Your pancreas is under stress, and eventually it will burn out, and your blood sugars will go back up again. So you need to accept this fact. Look, if you're already taking anabolic steroids and growth hormone, what's the difference? You might as well at least negate or counteract some of these side effects by taking a long-acting insulin. It's the best thing you can do health-wise for your body.
Let's go to Issa. The reason for not getting shredded glutes and hamstrings, even though cardio's on point, dropped down to less than 1,000 kcal a day. In your opinion, why is it, or what are the factors as far as why somebody is just struggling to get shredded glutes and hamstrings?
Right. Well, there's two reasons that I've experienced in my 30 years of plus coaching. One is that people are not dieting correctly, and they think they're leaner than they really are, and they're not, and they have body fat. That's the delusional, person. And believe me, I see it a lot. I mean, and I see people that are so shredded on the front of their body and their upper back that you would think that they're obviously doing something right? How come they're not getting glutes? It could be that they're just not suffering in the right direction, okay? Which means they're depriving their body of something, and their body is holding on to that fat. It could be that they're not eating enough essential fats in their diet. That's a big one, especially with women. If women don't eat enough fat in their diet, they'll never lose the fat on their glutes and thighs and hamstring area. It just doesn't go away. It's like their bodies hoard it because of the whole child rearing evolutionary mechanism that's going on there. But if you put the fat in their diet and you just lower their carbs down, they will get lean back there. That's one thing. The other situation that I've encountered, and I know Chris Cito and I talk about this all the time. Sometimes people just don't have enough muscle back there. And when you diet them down, what's happening is you just see like a looseness back there in the glute and sometimes into the hamstring area because there's a lack of muscle there. So there's no fat there, but it's like a fold of loose skin. So they just don't have enough glute muscle and hamstring muscle to stretch that skin out. And so you keep dieting them harder, thinking that you're going to get glutes. And what happens is they just lose muscle and it looks worse actually. So that's a possibility because a lot of people don't know how to train their legs properly. When they do squats and they do, pressing movements, they don't do full range of motion. They don't engage the glutes properly. They don't open their legs up enough, so they can't actually open their knees when they come down with a leg press or hack squat or a regular squat. And they're just not building muscle in the right area. And a lot of times I can fix that, with my people in the off season when I reteach them and they have to kind of reteach themselves how to, do leg movements because they're just not doing them right. They have great front quads, but they are missing the rears. And a lot of times that could be because they have very flat feet and they can't push from their heels when they're doing any kind of pressing or squat movement, in which case they're just kind of falling forward. And so they're engaging all the front quad muscles, but they're not engaging the stuff in the back. And that can be fixed with customized orthotics that they can get in the local podiatrist or chiropractor. And I've fixed a lot of guys and women's legs using that technique as well. So there's a lot of different reasons why. You got to kind of look at it on an individual by individual basis and see, is it diet? Am I not suffering enough or suffering in the right direction? Am I not getting the right essential nutrients for my body? And is my body fighting me? Or am I just lacking muscle back there? And it could be either one of those, but that's usually the two reasons.
Let's go to pipes. What do you know about the, quote, mercury-based diuretic drinks that guys in the 90s were using to get shredded? Ron Partlow and Dusty Hanshaw were talking about it on the podcast. I wasn't aware that mercury could be used as a diuretic. This is apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently the secret drink that Chad Nichols uses for his guys?
Mercury-based diuretic?
Yeah, that's apparently what I guess guys in the 90s took it, and that's what Chad Nichols is giving to his guys. I don't know if you know anything about that, or if Mercury has any diuretic properties.
I'm trying to think of which diuretics those would be.
Yeah, I'm looking up.
I'm trying to do a little quick look myself, but
any example of a mercurial diuretic?
I mean, I'm looking at them. I never heard of these things, so I don't. I mean, it must be a real old school type of diuretic that they use. It doesn't seem like anything that would be mercury based would be something I would want to put into my body, though, Sid. So I would imagine that they probably are not very good for you. I don't think that's what Chad Nichols. I think everyone always was trying to figure out what Chad Nichols was using, and when they were diuretic testing in the IFBB, what happened was they gave out a list. This is what we're testing for. We're testing for diazide, Lasix, aldactone. They gave the list of all the things. And then what the smart coaches did, people like Chad and me, and was go through all the diuretics that are available and see which ones were not on the list. And one of the ones that wasn't on the list, I'm pretty sure, was Demodex. And so everyone started using that. And I'm pretty sure that's what Chad was using back in the day. Demodex wasn't on the list, meaning that you can use it and you wouldn't test positive for it because it wasn't on the list that they tested for. So that's where that diuretic, it was very powerful. It was like a loop diuretic. It was like it's like Lasix in a sense. And it wouldn't be my first choice for a diuretic for anyone, because it is too powerful. But if it's the only thing you can use and you're not going to get caught, and they were fining these guys money for failing the diuretic test. That's what people started using. And I think once they realized that no one was adhering to their part, everyone was still using diuretics. They didn't understand why or how. They just stopped testing after a while. But that was at least what I was using with my clients at the time who were competing in the IFBB. We were using Demodex, and that worked fine.
There's a question about oats. All right, here we go. Yeah, from Durant Stewart. The only carbs I eat are oats, and I've recently heard about a lot of the, quote, hidden chemicals in them, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are regarding this. Is it something to worry about? I mean, he says he only eats 40 grams per day, but have you ever heard of, I guess, oats that people are eating and I guess hidden chemicals that may be mixed in?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about specific chemicals, but look, anything that grows in the ground, okay, is going to contain stuff, okay? In California, they have a very high sensitivity level to that. They expect you to notate. There's something called Proposition 65, and they actually want you to notate if there's lead or this or that at very, very low levels that are never going to negatively affect your health. But and they're the only state that requires this. So that's why if you ever see on certain products, even like our fiber product, anything that's grown in the ground, because psyllium grows in the ground, you got to put Prop 6. Most people, you don't have to. I actually technically don't have to because I have under 55 employees, which is, I know, a ridiculous rule. I put it on there anyway because I'm full transparency. And you have to put that on there. So there are, same thing with oats. Oats grow on the ground, right? So you're going to get lead and you're going to get arsenic and stuff like that. But they're in very, very minute amounts. I mean, nothing that would ever negatively affect your health. Worse than that, I mean, much worse than that. If you ever look at an oatmeal box or rice box, there's bugs in these things. Have you ever seen it? You ever open a rice box and seen little gnat like
things? Yeah. What do you do for that? Because I guess no. In our culture, we have this,
I cook it.
Oh, okay, no, because we have I don't know if it's a brown people thing, but we have this very specific thing that in terms of soaking it, and I don't know,
you can do that, but my feeling is
there's a special type of leaf in there too. I don't know. But
really? I don't know.
The whole thing behind it. Yeah.
I just cook the rice and I eat it. I don't give a. You know what? We must eat. Think about there's probably so many little bugs that we eat on a regular basis on fruits and stuff like that. It's impossible to clean everything.
Yeah.
Now now the whole thing is that there's parasites on everything. That's the new thing. You can't eat it. It's sushi. You can't eat this. everything that we eat is poison. There's nothing safe. Probably the safest thing is McDonald's, at the end of the day, because it's all artificial. It's all like manufactured. It's all preserved. I think all those preservatives that McDonald's uses kills all the bugs and all the, all the stuff in there. That's probably the safest thing to eat. It's crazy. I was having this conversation with Jason Huff when he was diagnosed with mercury poisoning. He thought he was eating so healthy, ate striped bass every day. He felt good. I'm eating fish and vegetables, and he gets severe mercury poisoning from it. And he's like, now I'm eating like junk food. He goes, I eat like fast food now. He goes, and I'm healthier all of a sudden. It's absurd. It's just absurd. And I don't know if we're overreacting or
no. Remember,
we're all doomed. I don't know if we're all just doomed,
Yeah, no. Who were we just talking about? It was like about a year and a half. Dom Cardone, right? Dom
yes,
Cardone
he was also mercury poisoning.
Tapeworm, and he thinks he got it from sushi, right?
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't know where he got it. But,
right.
But I mean, you could get it. There are, like I said, I don't know. I mean, why do some people get these symptoms and stuff, and then some people don't? I don't know. I really don't know why. And you can't live your life in fear. But it's important to eat right. There are some detoxifications you can do for these. Like any kind of like worms and stuff like that. You can deworming natural type supplements you can take that will kill off all those things in you. I think I've talked about one on one of the past shows. I don't remember the name of it now. I don't have it offhand, but I did a month of one or 2 months of one or something like that. And I didn't notice anything, but some people will actually notice like little dead worms in their poops, from taking this stuff. It's like it's natural ingredients, but it seems to somehow act as an anti-protozoan or whatever. I can't parasite, anti-parasite type of situation. But like I said, I don't think if you're eating a couple bowls of oatmeal a day, you have to really worry about it.
Yeah,
I think you're all right.